What's happening, people? What's going on out there in the world of the interwebs? I'm broadcasting to you live from San Francisco, California, my apartment. I'm not at the office today. I'm here for you, though, at home, working from home. You guys know how we do it, right? I'm sure some of you guys are in the same situation. If you guys are out there and you're working from home, give me a shout out. Give me a shout out in the comments over here. And let me know if you are working from home today, because I am working from home. And I know that there's probably some of you out there that are also working from home, not at the office, chilling in the makeshift office at home. Me too, man. So good to see you all. Welcome to another week of boot camp, social media marketing boot camp. Give me a shout out in the comments if you're here, so I know that there's actually some live people here. Would be great to see y'all. Tell me where you're coming from, where you're at, where you're living, how you're living. Again, I'm broadcasting to you live from San Francisco here, out in the outer sunset or the inner sunset. A little bit cloudy in San Francisco today, a little bit cloudy and chilly. But you know, that's how we do it out here on the peninsula. Get that ocean weather. So let's jump right into it. Before we get into our main subjects of the day, wanted to ask you guys to go over to the Facebook group. Go over to our Facebook experts group and please share your homework. You guys had some homework assigned from last week. What up? You're in the office into Tennessee. Tennessee, one of my favorite places. I lived in Chattanooga for a little while. Very beautiful spot. Head over there to the Facebook group. If you're not a member, request membership. It's a private group. Go in there, share your homework from last week, which was the image that you created based upon some content from your own personal page. Remember, I told the story about my son and how he asked me a question in the car. I turned that into a post. I wrote it on my personal profile. A lot of people responded to it. So I thought, being the data-driven dude that I am, I was going to use that same content on the Post Planner fan page. I created an image with it, and that was your assignment. You're supposed to go out, look on your personal profiles, look on your personal Twitter accounts, see what worked, see which posts and tweets got the most interaction from your followers, and then turn that into an image. So I hope you did that. If you did that, please head over to the Facebook group right now. Share that post with me so we can check it out later. And I'm going to get into the results of that post that I created last week, just like I always do. We got to hold ourselves accountable here at Post Planner and see how, since we're data-driven people, we got to see actually what happened. We got to look into the data. So we're going to do that in a little while. But let's jump into the content right now. Now, you guys know I always like to start with the why, right? We're doing things out here in the business world. We should always know exactly why we're doing it. Why are we doing these things? Why social media marketing, right? Why are we on Facebook? Why are we on Twitter? Well, as you guys know, it's all about the business, right? It's all about spreading word about the business and getting people back to your website via social channels. Social media is really just distribution for your website, for your products, for your services. Now, that comes in the form of your own content. You're putting your content out there on social. People are clicking it, coming back to your website, and hopefully you're converting them into customers. But that's really what it's all about. That's the why. That's the why. And I like to explain it, as you guys know, in a metaphor of fishing. Now, I'm going to share my screen and just remind you of this because I know you guys dig the fishing metaphor. Here it is, all right? We're chumming the waters out there on social media. We're chumming those waters. That means we're throwing in these juicy morsels, these juicy pieces of meat. And those for us are the engaging content. That is the content that inspires, that makes people laugh, that touches people emotionally, that educates people. It's the kind of content that you put out there that you don't really expect anything in return on anything. You're not asking people to buy stuff. You're just simply putting some great content out there, some valuable, funny, inspiring, entertaining, educational stuff on it. Click on and consume, right? They can consume it in the form of an image. They can consume it in the form of a video. They can consume it by answering a question, a text question. It could even be a link from somebody, from not your own website, from somebody else's website that you think is valuable and educational. They click on that, they read it, they consume it, they eat that chum. And then what do? You drop in the hooks. You drop in the hooks, and the hooks are those links that go back to your website. The best kind of hooks are always what? Blog posts, content, free value. You're putting out blog posts, you're putting out ebooks, you're putting out videos, anything that you can add value with that gets people back to your domain, which is your website, which is where you convert them eventually. But the first step is just getting them in the top of your funnel, right? Grabbing their email, getting them to submit their email for an ebook, submit their email to try something out for free. And then, you got to nurture them from there. So there it is. It's all about the chum. Remember, you can always go to postplanner.com/fishing and get the full explanation on this. We got this sweet infographic down here, fishing on Facebook, how to reel in the customers. You got your fish, your fans, you got the fisherman, you, the business. You go out there, you chum the waters with the engaging content. You put out the photos, you put out the third-party links, the questions, the vids, and then you drop in your hooks. And your hooks, as we just mentioned, are anything that takes your fans and followers back to your website so you can convert them. That's the chum, baby. We chumming it. Week after week, we be chumming it. All right. Now, let me get back on screen here. All right, fishermen, my fellow fishermen. We know we need two things on social media. It really comes down to two things, two types of content. Chum, hooks. Chum, hooks. We want to be data-driven with both of those, right? We don't just want to throw out chum that we don't know that the fish want, right? We don't want to throw out hooks that we don't know. We don't have some data telling us already that those things are going to be effective, that they're going to get engagement, that they're going to get clicks. So we always try to increase the probability and increase the chances that people are going to engage with our content. And we do that by being data-driven, right? We do that by looking at all these social media posts and all these pieces of content as experiments with data, experiments with results. And the more we use experiments that have already been performed and have great results, the more we reuse those, we're just increasing the probability that we're going to get engagement, we're going to get the results we want. So it all comes down to the chum, it all comes down to the hooks. And that's what we talk about week after week, how we can create the best chum and how we can create the best hooks. And that's what we're going to talk about again today. Now, let's start with the chum. Data-driven chum. That's what we want. We want to create that engaging content, that content we throw out there just for the pure entertainment of our followers, but we want to choose the stuff that's going to be most likely to get the most engagement. We do it with the data-driven. And remember, we only need four things really when it comes to doing a data-driven image. As I always say, we need these four things. We need a data-driven quote, a data-driven text. We need a background image, an image to go with it because we're creating an image. We need our logo to throw up there. And then we need some kind of design software to put it all together and whip it up into a pretty awesome image. As you guys know, I'm a Photoshop dude, old school. I know some of you guys out there love Canva and Relay and many of these other apps. I don't care which app you use. You can use any app you want as long as you take that data-driven piece of text, have an awesome background image, put your logo on there, and whip it all together into some awesome chum. So we've spent some time on the last several webinars talking about where we get number one, which is the data-driven text. Where do we find that? We've covered so far three places we can find that. The first one, let's jump into each one of those. Now, the best place to find a data-driven quote is, of course, Post Planner. Now, you go in there and the first thing you see is quotes. And these are just a bunch of Facebook pages that just tend to share texts on images all the time. These star ratings down here tell you that you know, basically they're giving you the low-hanging fruit, the very best from each of those pages, the top performers, the outliers. They're giving, we're crunching the numbers for you and giving you the outliers so you can kind of cherry pick the best ones, use that content. You can post these images as they are, as you find them, just reshare them. You can do that. Or you can take the text itself, you know, type it out, copy it, put it onto your own image, and you know, with those 4 items that we talked about just a second ago, create your own image with your own logo on there. Highly recommend you do that. But you know, if you want to just use these images as they are, no problem either. They contain all the things that, you know, other than the logo, they contain the things that obviously made them go viral in the first place. So you can use them as they are. But I recommend you know, put your own logo on there, find an awesome background image, and throw them out there onto your social accounts. Increase the chances that they're going to do well. You're being data driven by doing this. So that's the first place that you can find. And honestly, we're going to see today that this is the best place to find them. The examples that we've done a few different techniques to find data driven texts. By far, the ones that have performed the best are the ones that we've gotten right here inside of Post Planner. So remember, there's a free version of Post Planner. You can jump in there. You can use this for free. And be data driven in your image selection and your text selection. So that's the first place to get a data driven text, a data driven quote. The other one we talked about was going to your own page. I'm going to head over here to Post Planner, going into the insights. And you know, if you've posted a lot of content, you could sort by reach here. Go to posts, sort by reach, and then you're going to just all the best posts are going to come right up to the top, and then you can look at, you know, how long it's been since you posted them. So this one, for example, is the big outlier, right? And by outlier, what I mean is that, look, we have a lot of posts that have gotten, you know, let's say 200,000, 100,000 reach and above. Okay, remember our page has about 400,000 fans. We have several images from the last, I think this is about the last 3 months, that have gotten over 100,000 in reach. So that's great. Let me expand this. But look at there's 1 or 2 at the top that are total outliers. And what an outlier means is that it's like far, the performance is far above the rest. Okay. So we have several images. I could expand this more and more, and I would have, you know, let's say 50 images in the last, you know, 3 months that have gotten more than 100,000 in reach. But here at the top, you just have one. You have one that got 1 million, and you have one that got 6 million. So this outperformed all these others by far. Let's see what it is. I do all my ironing in the dryer. Look, there it is. Something funny, something lighthearted. Very easy to read, right? Simple font. There's not even an image in the background, right? It's just a pure color on the background. They highlighted ironing. They highlighted dryer, okay? So just to make it easy to read right in a glance. And look, this thing got shared, what? Where are the shares? Got 300,000 shares, so which led to 6 million people reached. Not too shabby for a little simple quote like that. So this thing quoted was posted on April 11th. That's more than a month ago. I could take this exact same quote, find another image, or use a different type of background, repurpose it, and use it again. That's the second way. So the first way, again, go to Post Planner, use the star ratings, choose stuff with 4 stars and above, use the text from there. Second technique, go to your own page, look in the insights, go to posts, insights, posts, sort by reach, see which ones perform best and reuse them. That's the second. The third was that was what we talked about last week, leveraging your personal content, right? So if any of you are active personally, I'm going to jump back on camera here. If you guys are active on your personal Facebook profiles, if you guys are active on your personal Twitter accounts, on your personal Pinterest accounts, you have, content that's being tested against an audience out there, right? You're throwing content out into the world, and the good stuff's being engaged with, and the less good stuff is not being engaged with. So you can use the exact same techniques with your own personal stuff, right? And that's what I shared last week. I wrote a little text update about my son, a question he asked me. He's 4 years old. We were driving home from daycare. He asked me, "Papa, why do I like the girls so much?" That kind of blew my mind, so I wrote it out, that little story on Facebook, on my personal profile. Huge number of my friends reacted to it. So I thought, okay, well, maybe we'll try an image with that one. I built that image live on this webinar last week and threw it out there into the world. And we're going to see how that performed in a second. Now, those are the three things. Number one, go to Post Planner. Use a 4 or 5 star image. Number two, go to your own Facebook page or pages. Go to posts, insights, post, sort by reach, find the outliers, repurpose them. And number three is leverage your own personal content, right? Go out there and find the stuff that you've posted on your personal social media accounts. You want to have, it needs to be generic enough that, it doesn't require context. People don't have to know you to figure out what the hell you're talking about. It's not like an inside joke, right? That's probably not going to work because people aren't going to get it. But if it's kind of a general quote, for example, that you've used from maybe a famous person, and a lot of people reacted to it from your personal network, then that probably tells you that a bigger audience will probably react to it as well. So that's the third technique, taking stuff from your own personal posts. And today we're going to talk about the fourth one, which is pretty cool, which is to leverage your friends' content, right? You follow a ton of people out there. Some of them are more closer friends than others. Some of them are family members. A lot of them are posting stuff as well. And a lot of that stuff is similar to what I just talked about, generic content, quotes that inspired them, funny jokes that they heard and they shared on social media. And they're, putting that content out before an audience as well and getting results back. So why not go and notice, pay attention? I mean, you're probably going to notice that certain friends of yours or certain people you follow on Twitter post good stuff, right? You notice them, you react to it, you like it, you leave comments on it, you share it. Those kind of people tend to share good stuff, and they might have kind of a content mine that you can, mine. So do it. I'm going to show you an example of how I am going to, I'm going to do that right here today. I have a friend. I'm friends with a guy named Jordan Harbinger. Jordan runs the Art of Charm podcast. He's a really nice guy from here in San Francisco, or at least he spends a lot of time here. Met him a few times here. His podcast is pretty big and really good. I recommend you go check it out. And he just shares a lot of funny stuff, just texts, right? He shares a lot of texts, jokes, little witty sayings, quotes. He shares 2 or 3 of these a day. And so, going back over the several months, you just have a huge, array of content that we can check out, and we can try to cherry pick the best stuff, use it for an image. Now, before we do it, let's review some of the other stuff that we've done on a webinar. Remember, we need to hold ourselves accountable. So let me share my screen here. First one that we did several weeks back was this one. Now we used the technique number 1 here, right? We used technique number 1. We went to Post Planner. We found this quote: "For all the people who are loving and kind to me, thank you for the sunshine you bring to my life." That was just a simple image that we found in Post Planner that we took the text from. We went out and found an image using a few of the websites I've shared with you before. I'll share them again today. One of them is Pexels.com. Another one is Unsplash.com. And this one got 1,500 shares. Not too shabby, a lot of reach, and did well. The next one we used the technique the second technique. We went to Post Planner. We cherry picked the top performing post, a top performing post on the Post Planner fan page, and we threw that out there. This one got 1,000 shares, reached a lot of people, did pretty well. Let's see, what was the reach on that one? Let's see here. Reached 60,000 people, so not too shabby. The next one, we did the same thing. We used we went in and we found the top performing image on Post Planner's fan page. Put it on an image that we found in Unsplash, I believe. Put it out there. Again, 400 shares. Not as good as the first two, but also not too shabby. And then this is the next one we did. Again, we took that one from I believe we took that one from the fan page. Top performer, 400 shares, just like the last one. And these last couple ones I did in minutes, right? I kind of timed myself and I said, okay, how long is it going to take me to create an image like this? Just to prove to you how easy it is. I think I did this one in 3 minutes. And then last week, the one from my personal, the content from my personal page, I put it out there like this. And honestly, it didn't perform very well. It only got about 87 shares. Didn't reach a whole lot of people. I mean, just in comparison to the other content on our page, it just didn't perform very well. So we can kind of let's talk about why that may have been the case. First off, maybe there wasn't enough context here, right? Maybe the people who reacted to this on my own personal page, they reacted because they knew my son, they knew me, they had the context of picturing us when this story was happening. So maybe it didn't work for that reason. I'm just putting out some things that we can think about so that we can have these things in mind going forward when we're creating images. You know, maybe we'll try not to make the same mistakes twice. Now, I don't know for sure what caused this not to resonate, but it does me well and you guys well to think things through and think about some of the reasons why it's possible. So that could be it. Just not enough context. As far as the image itself goes, maybe there's too much text, right? Maybe it's not there's not enough contrast. Maybe it takes too long to read. You notice that, you know, in here, in this area here where the light is brighter, it kind of is a little bit tough to read, and that was my bad creating this image. Next time I create it, I'd probably make sure that the background is fully dark, and maybe use a different image. And that brings me to the image itself. Maybe this image didn't resonate. Maybe we need an image of a kid's face, because as you guys know, faces do well. So, you know, those are some of the reasons why it could have possibly not worked. But I think the point here is that it does us well, and we should never avoid, you know, trying to figure out our failures, right? And in a sense, this post was a bit of a failure in comparison to other images we put out there. We should try to figure out why, right? And try to learn from it. So there you go. Now that we know that, and we've kind of analyzed that, get into this new technique. So, one more other thing I'd want to say, and that's kind of going back to these 4 techniques that I told you, right? We're talking about 4 techniques of where to find a data-driven text. First one was go to Post Planner. The second one was go to your own page and cherry pick the top performer. The third one was cherry pick the top content from your personal profile. In what I would say is that in that order right there is probably the same order of probability of success, right? If you get a 5-star image from Post Planner, this is what I mean to say. If you get a 5-star image from Post Planner, you have a lot more data behind you. You have a lot higher probability of replicating success than cherry picking some content from your personal page, because your personal profile is probably, I personally only have about 850 friends. So my audience is much smaller, and it's just more tenuous. It's less, the probability of replicating the success is just lower. Keep that in mind, right? The bigger the audience where the content has been tested, the more likely that content, if you use it, is going to work on your audience as well. Whereas the smaller the audience, it's just riskier. Let's just say it's riskier. You're taking a bigger risk with you're just guessing more, right? And being data driven is all about not guessing. All right, so I hope that makes sense to you guys. I think it's an important thing to understand is that the more data we have behind us, where content that has been tested on larger audiences is going to be more dependable than content that has been tested on smaller audiences. Okay, the larger the audience and the larger the set of content items that have been shared on that for that audience, the better, the more data we have at Post Planner as the application, the algorithm has to crunch numbers and increase the probability that that content's going to work for you. Versus, on the other side of that is you going to your personal profile with your, 500 to 1,000 friends and, grabbing a piece of content that probably because of the Facebook algorithm has only been shown to about, a quarter of those people. And, so you've only tested it in front of 250, 300 people. Of course, it's going to be riskier if you take that content and put it out there as I just proved last week, right? I thought that content was bang on, because that post about my son, it got like 100 and something likes, and I rarely get that many likes on my personal posts, right? So when I saw that, I was like, damn, this must be an outlier in terms of content. There must be something here that would resonate with any audience. But obviously I turned out to be wrong. So and in my opinion, that part of that we have to think that part of that is because the test that I ran, if we can call it a test, was for a very small audience. And so it's just riskier to take that content. Now, that being said, it's going to be the same case with what we do today. So we're doing some high risk stuff today, right? But that's cool. We should have many avenues which we can use to find data-driven content. And this is just another avenue, even though it's going to be a little bit riskier and we're going to be guessing a little bit more when we use this technique for finding content. Still, it's an arrow in our quiver, right? It's a technique we can use. It's a tactic we can use to get good content, right? It's going to be a little bit riskier than the content we find in Post Planner, the Post Planner app, but still, it's going to be somewhat data driven, and it's another place we can find content. And remember, these things build on each other. So, no matter where I take the content from and I post it on the Post Planner fan page, that's going out and it's being tested for an audience of 400,000 people. Now, obviously it's not shown to all those people, but it's a much bigger audience. That content's reaching a much bigger audience than my personal profile, and therefore it's being tested again and being compared against all the other photos and items that I've shared on that page. So then we get another layer of testing, and then we can go back into Post Planner's fan page and we can sort by reach, and then we cherry pick the top ones again. So this is how I want you guys to start thinking, right? That we take content from somewhere, maybe it's a little bit riskier, we create content with it, we put it out there as an experiment. It's successful, it's mediocre, it's a failure, and then by way of that test right there, then we have more content that rises to the top, and then we can reuse that. We can draw inferences from that, draw lessons from it, and just become better. All right? So I know that was a lot of words. Sorry for talking your ear off there. Now, let's get into it. Let's try a new technique here. And like I said before, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna use Jordan's Facebook page. So let me share my screen here. All right, so I'm going to jump into Facebook, and I'm going to go to Jordan Harbinger. There he is, Art of Charm. You got to check out that podcast. Good stuff. He interviews really interesting people. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just I'm going to scroll way down because I don't want to use his most recent posts because those are newer, and they're not going to really give me a good comparison. So I'm going to scroll down. And now we're getting into like May 12th. That was over 2 weeks ago. And now you're going to notice that what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a text. Here it is. Here's a text update. And what I'm looking for is just this number right here. So that's my first frame of reference right here, 24. That's my number. I want a text and I want 24. I want more than 24. All right. So what about this one? 51. Okay, that's now my number. I got to beat 51. 13. Nope, no good. I can go right past that. 95. Okay, there's my new number, 95. I'm looking for something more than 95. Let's keep going. See what we can find here. 187. Oh, not too shabby right there. In the internet age, we're all drowning in information but starving for wisdom. Not too shabby. Okay, I'm gonna copy that just so I have it, and then I'm gonna keep on scrolling. I just highlighted it in Command C, right? Copied it. Here's another one. So that one was 195, I believe. 187. This one 170. Still looks pretty interesting, but not as high as the other one, so I'm gonna skip it. Let's see here. Nope. 26, not good. 21, not good. We don't even have to read it. We can just go right by it because we're data driven, right? 10, no good. 23, no good. 34, no good. 29. May 2nd. In fact, the harder you slam the door walking out of an argument, the more likely you have to go back inside for your car keys. All right, that's pretty good, actually. 154, so not as high as the other one, but what the hell? I'm going to go for it because this is I kind of know that our fans on the Postminer fan page, they like funnier stuff, wittier stuff. We share plenty of quotes, so I'm going to skip that quote about wisdom, and I'm going to just take this one. I'll decide if I don't think I'm going to use the hashtag, so I'm just going to use the fact here. Now, just realize what I just did, right? I went to Jordan's page. I scrolled way down, so the time period was really far in the past, and I'm just looking for a number, and I'm holding it in my mind. I'm finding something that's more and more and more. I'm looking for the outliers, the top performers. So that's what I did. I copied this. Now, what's next? Let's do this as quick as we can. Well, I go over to Unsplash. Now, the quote has something to do with cars, and I would say like a couple maybe. But let's see what we find there. This one looks more like a wedding. I don't know if that applies. This one looks kind of good. It's dark. Let's check that one out. I think this applies. I think this will work. So I'm gonna download that. I think I can just drag it. No, can I drag it? No, download. Okay, download that one, and then we're gonna go in and drop it into Photoshop, and then I'm gonna share my Photoshop screen. Hold on a second. Oops. And remember, I need those 4 items. There we go. Hey, what's up? I'm back on camera. Okay. Photoshop. There we go. There's our image. Now what we're gonna do here is let's see here. I'm gonna look at the size. Edit image, canvas size. I'm gonna make it square. So I'm gonna do a height 5760, same as the width. I'm gonna add some, and maybe we'll go black on white on this on the above and below. I think we're gonna do an above and below like we did on that first image I showed you. This is a little bit too big in terms of pixels, so I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller. Let's go 1400. That's pretty good. And now I've got my text. I'm gonna make it black. See if it's still copied. There it is. Now we don't want this too small, so we'll try to make it about that. And then I can increase this font size. Looking pretty good. That look fits nicely, right, with the comma at the end of that. And then I'm going to decrease the, 1 second here. Character. I'm going to decrease the line height so it fits nicely. And then only have one last thing to do, and that is what? Do you guys remember? Yeah. Now, is that readable? I think so. Let me I'm kind of a stickler for this center stuff, so I'm gonna remove those spaces there. Seems pretty good. Now, one thing you want to do when you test is you want to like make it smaller so you can see what it looks like maybe on a screen. I would make one little thing I would change is I would go here, my line height, 1 second. I still think I'm making pretty good time here. All right, and last thing is what? My logo. Now, you know what? I'm gonna take a little bit off of this. I think I'm just gonna keep it as is, just for timing's sake. And then remember, this image is copyright free, so I can use it as is, right? Now, what I'm gonna do, one last thing is I need is my logo. So I'm gonna pull my logo in. There it is, Post Planner. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. Where should we put that? They're centered, and then we can make it a little like that. What do you think? Should we put it off center over here? A little bit smaller, maybe. Yeah, that looks a little better. All right, boom. We got it. How long did that take me? 5 minutes? Not too shabby. All right, I'll go ahead and share this on the Post Planner fan page. Let me save it. I'll save it as Jordan. All right, cool. So I got that. So now, that was just to show you what's possible. Let me jump on screen here again. All right. So there you go, guys. Notice what I did there. This is just another technique. I went to one of my friends' Facebook profiles. This could have been a Twitter account. I could do it on Twitter as well. And I scrolled down, 2 weeks or even further in the past, and then I started to compare texts that this person had written and see which ones got the biggest response from the audience, and then make a decision about whether that would work for my audience on my Facebook page. And then I just used the text, right, with an image that I got from Unsplash. There's several sites out there for this. Pexels was another one. And then I just used my own design software to create it. So there you go. That's our fourth technique. I'm just going to keep on bringing you these techniques, guys, these tactics, okay? Where to find data-driven content. I mean, in the end, probably Post Planner is always going to be your best bet, but you got to have a lot of arrows in the quiver, right? So I'm going to give you a new one every single week as much as I can find one, okay? And that was another one. And I've been looking at Jordan's updates for like ever. I'm like, dude, this guy shares some funny stuff and some good witty content. I got to use some of these texts on my pages. So finally, I've done it. Okay, now that is this whole section for the last half hour we've been talking about has been the chum side, right? Data-driven chum, the data-driven engaging content, the data-driven inspiring, funny, educational content, okay? None of this content that I just created or we just talked about is going to lead anyone back to Post Planner's website, okay? None of this content is going to really generate leads, right? What it's doing is it's growing the fan page. It's getting our audience more engaged so that when we do drop in those hooks, which I'm going to talk about now, they're going to reach more people. Those people are already going to be engaged on my page. And then they're going to be much more likely to click it and end up on my website. Okay, now we got into some really cool stuff last week about data-driven hooks. Okay, and we did the data-driven chum. Let's jump into the data-driven hooks now. Remember, hooks, again, are those posts we share that bring people back to our website where we can capture their email, where we can get them in the top of our funnel and eventually turn them into customers. Okay, what should your hooks be? We got into this pretty deeply the last couple of weeks, but remember, I talked a lot about jobs to be done, and that was one of your assignments. Now, let me share the spreadsheet that I shared before. This is a public spreadsheet. Your homework was to go to this spreadsheet and fill out the jobs. Where are you guys at? There you are. Here's our public spreadsheet. Go there, click on the jobs tab, and this is where you talk to your customers. You ask them 4 questions about why they ended up becoming a customer of yours, why they ended up buying your product, buying your service. And then you figure out, okay, what is the job that customers are hiring my business for? And then once you have that information about what jobs your customers are hiring your business for, then you can use that information to create hooks. And that's the whole point here, is if you use that information. Oh, sorry, I didn't share that. Let me share my screen, just so you guys are seeing the same thing as me. Here's the blog strategy worksheet, and this is the first one, the sheet on jobs. Remember, you talk to your customers, you make sure and ask them these 4 questions, and then at the end you decide, okay, this is the job that this customer was hiring my service for. This is the job my customer was hiring my product to do for them. Okay, and once you have those jobs listed, I mean, hopefully you guys have many interviews, right? The more you get, the more patterns you're going to see over here in this column. So if you do 20 interviews and you see that 8 of them are for one job, and that 5 of them are for another job, and then 3 of them are for another job, then and then the rest are just one job each, then that kind of you have an idea about the top 3 jobs that people are hiring your business for. And then you can jump over here into the blog post worksheet and really start the process of creating awesome data-driven hooks. And that all starts with going over here into this first column and putting the job in. What is the job the post will relate to? Throw that into that first column. And then you got to fill out these next columns. The intent, which we talked about last week. This is the intent of the person who's on search, who's on Google. They're struggling with something, and they're looking for a solution. So they type in, they have an intent when they're typing something in. What is their intent? For this example, the intent is like they want to know how to grow their organic Facebook marketing reach, something that we're talking about in this webinar. Then you fill in what the struggling moments are behind that intent. What are they struggling with that led them to have this intent? Then you nail down the key word that you want to use, that we want to sprinkle throughout the post, so that you're that it's throughout. Then to keep you on track when you're writing the post, you want to specifically write how will the article, the blog post, address this user's struggling moment. So they have these struggling moments over here. They struggle with dwindling Facebook reach. They're struggling to find inexpensive ways to promote their business on Facebook. You're going to talk right here about specifically how the post is going to address those struggling moments. And then you're going to write your headlines over here. Okay. So I know this is a lot of work. This is the work you got to put in if you want to have a serious social media marketing strategy. This is the work that you absolutely have to do, because again, people, let me jump on camera here. If you don't have the hooks, then there's no reason to share the chum, right? If you don't have the hooks, then you're not going to be getting leads from social media. right? You're not going to be leveraging your audience on social media. You're not really doing social media marketing. Social media marketing is all about driving up engagement and reach so that you can drop in those hooks and get more traffic. And that traffic should lead to more customers. And the problem that a lot of people understand this, okay? A lot of people get this. A lot of people get that we have to share engaging content, and then we have to write blog posts and share them. We have to write ebooks and share them. This is pretty common knowledge. But what people fail at most often is the nitty gritty of what's in that sheet. In other words, they write blog posts about the wrong stuff, right? If you're doing content marketing the correct way, the people who land on your blog posts are already qualified leads for your business. Okay? I cannot stress that enough. If you're doing blogging the correct way, anyone who lands on your blog post purely by way of their click, right? Just the fact that they clicked on that headline that they saw on social, that they saw in search, one of those two places usually, or maybe someone shared it with them in an email. And again, they had to click on that link or that headline to get to your blog. And they're only going to click on a headline if that headline resonates with something that they're struggling with. In other words, they're only going to click on a headline that behind that headline, there seems to be some value that's going to help me out as a business, right? So if you're only writing about things on your blog that have specifically to do with the jobs that your services help people with, that your products help people with, then anyone who clicks on that headline ends up on your blog. They've already told you, I am a potential customer of yours, right? I am a potential customer of yours because I've shown that by clicking on this link, which shows that I'm struggling with this problem that your business happens to solve. And therefore, yeah, I'm reading this blog post, I'm gaining value from it, but I'm also happen to be on a website that has a product that can help me with this very problem, okay? That's what's so important, and that's what so many people miss in the content marketing game. Instead, they chase just traffic numbers, which is just a vanity metric, right? They chase just getting the most clicks possible on their blog posts. They chase getting the most shares, social shares possible on their blog posts. I know because I used to do it. I used to do this exact same thing, right? We used to try and find topics that would, that had the most demand and the least supply. And we didn't care if it had anything to do with what Post Planner does for people. For example, the best one is that we did an iPhone hacks blog post. We wrote a blog post about, the top 20 iPhone hacks. I think we found the content on Mashable or something other, and we saw that it was doing well. So we thought, okay, we'll write this same thing. We wrote it. It kicked ass. It got, thousands and thousands of social shares. It drove tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in traffic. How many conversions to customers did it get? Zero, right? That blog post was absolutely worthless to us in terms of lead generation, okay? And that's my point. Don't do that. Don't do that. Only write blog posts that have to do with the jobs that your products and services perform for people. Then every time someone ends up on your blog, boom, they're already qualified, right? They're there. Start selling, baby. Okay, cool. Now I've lectured you enough. You guys can probably tell that I'm passionate about this stuff. I've learned my lesson over the years. So take it from a veteran here. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so one last thing I wanted to cover. We got about 10 minutes left. We know how to fill out that sheet. So again, guys, I want you to go out and I want you to fill in this sheet. Let me share my screen here. And now I'm going to give you a really cool secret. All right, so there's our sheet. All right, go out here. Remember, this sheet is public. You can copy it. You can't write on it because I own it, and I don't want people screwing it up. So I didn't let anyone edit it. But you can easily copy it. Just go up here and click right here in this square. Put Command C or Control C, copy. open an Excel file, open another one of your own Google Sheets, and just click paste, and you'll have the whole thing right there. Okay, you can copy the content. Do it for both sheets, and then fill it in. And now the next step is actually writing the post, and this is the tough part, right? This is where the work continues. I was about to say this is where the work starts, but this is a lot of work just filling this stuff in, and even getting these jobs, doing these job interviews is a ton of work, as you guys probably have realized. But I promise you, it has a massive ROI. So make sure I can't stress it enough. Get these interviews done. Get those jobs recorded. Fill in this worksheet here for your blog post ideas. And then when you decide that you got one that you think is really good, that it has to do with a job that your product or services perform for your customers, then now it's time to really start writing a post. And here is my article. All posts start with intros, right? So today I just want to share with you briefly, and we'll get into this a little bit more next week, but I'm going to share with you everything that needs to be in an article. I'm going to give you basically an article intro formula. Okay. So I'm going to open up a Google Sheet. I think I might have got signed out, but let's see here. New sheet. Oops. Don't want a sheet. I want a doc. New doc. Okay. And here's my strategy right here. You're just going to use that sheet that that I just showed you, and you're going to plug in here. Now, as an example, I'm going to go to the post planner. We can just go to this one right here. All right. Now this one isn't as good, but it's pretty much on point. This is the intro section right here. Okay. And this is the formula. We use this formula loosely. You'll see that some of our blog posts are more stick to it more with more fidelity than others. But there's pretty much 5 key features here. And it starts with number 1, a question explicitly about the struggling moment. Now let's go to the post planner. I'm going to shut some of these windows, these tabs. You guys are seeing my screen, right? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go to the post planner fan page, down into some of the content we've shared. Remember we got those hooks going out, right? Let's go with that's what I looked at here earlier. Here's a post by a guest blogger named James Scherer. Notice this is a really cool one because it's just so short and simple. Okay, 3 Facebook ad strategies that won't break the bank. Well, what do we know? Like there, the intent is that people are looking. How do I do Facebook? Sorry, where is that 3, baby? Let's shut this one. What is let's see here. Sorry, guys. What is the intent of the person? Well, they're here to get an ad strategy that won't be too expensive, right? So what do I do? Well, I start with, he starts with, and we edit all these guest posts. So we kind of impose our formula on here. But you start with a question, and the question is, as I wrote over here, shut these. Question is right here. The question explicitly about the struggling moment, C, or intent, B. So you go to this column and you say, okay, I'm going to ask a question specifically about one of these, right? I'm just going to start the blog post with a question. So for this one, I could say, wondering how to grow your organic Facebook marketing reach? Oh yeah, there's the first sentence of my blog post right there. Start with a question, okay? Start with the question. That's number 1. And you already have the content of the question because it's right there in your spreadsheet. All you have to do is, grab the intent, turn it into a question, and you got the first question of your blog post. Part 2, the next part is an empathy statement, which would be something like, in this case, let's go back here. Struggling to grow your looking to grow your organic Facebook reach. Actually, we're using the keyword Facebook marketing. So looking to grow your organic Facebook marketing reach, my empathy statement would be, no problem. I know it's getting harder and harder these days. Something like that. You know, that's not articulate, but the point is that the next paragraph is kind of like, I feel your pain, right? I know it's not easy, right? That's the kind of thing you want in part 2 of your intro. So I'm pretty sure we didn't do that here, but you can imagine a second paragraph here that says, you know, are you paying too much for Facebook ads to get the results you need? I understand. I did the same thing until I figured out this process. This article is going to show you this process, et cetera, right? It's always good to show a little empathy for your reader. So there you go. That's part 2. Part 1, question that has explicitly to do with column C or column B, right here. Then an empathy statement. Yeah, I feel your pain, right? I can even write that here. I feel your pain. All right. Then part 3 is, in this article, I will. And you already, and the cool thing right here is you already have this written down as well. It's right here. In this article, I'll explain how we grew our organic Facebook marketing reach by 193% in 1 year, and how anyone can use the same tactics, blah, 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 right? If you filled in this column right here, you already have that third part. And that's kind of my point, is you're piecing together an intro here from all the content you already have. And then 4 is, so you can. So in this article, I will do this, blah, 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 blah. E, so that you can be. And what's B? Grow your Facebook marketing reach, right? And there you go. Voila, you got it. There's your intro. And then part 5 is repeating your headline as an H2. And this is just purely for SEO and also for the kind of structure of the blog post. Notice that we have 3 Facebook ad strategies that won't break the bank as the H1. So in HTML, you have your headers. SEO is very much dependent on your H, right? Your headers. And you have H1s and you have H2s. And the H1 is the most important. That's the headline of the article. The H2 is Google looks at as very important as well. And therefore, if you use the exact same, we found that if you use the exact same headline in the H1 and in the H2, then you're going to just get a bonus in SEO. Okay, so that is your formula for an intro. And you know, honestly, let me jump back on camera here. You guys probably know that one of the hardest things about blogging is just getting started, right? Once you actually get the article started, things tend to flow. But it's just like staring at that blank page is tough, right? Well, I just gave you a technique for just obliterate that blank page and have yourself, you know, a solid intro, a solid idea about what the post will contain, because you already have that whole sheet filled out. It's really just filling in the details after that. You know, just teaching what you've learned to other people. So I hope that's been helpful, guys. I'm just going to review it one more time just so you guys get it, and then I'll just and then we'll wrap things up again. Just one more time here. How do you write a blog post? Well, and going back to, you know, what we're really talking about here, social media marketing. How do you create a great hook that you can share on social media and get traffic to your website? Well, you start by interviewing customers and asking them what jobs they're hiring your products for. Then you create a plan with a bunch of, you know, your assignment last week was 5 rows here. Fill them all in based upon, they're all going to be based upon one of those jobs. Fill all those in, and then get started with the post. Get started with the post by using this formula right here for an article intro. Question explicitly about the struggling moment or intent. Empathy statement. In this article, I will, and then just plug in what you have in column E, so you can do this, which is column B, and then repeat the headline. And voila, you have your blank page is gone, and you're well on your way to having an awesome hook that you can use, a data-driven hook. And the reason I say data-driven is because these hooks are based upon your interviews, ultimately. The interviews that you did with your customers, all these blog posts are going to be based upon those interviews. They're going to be driven by the data from those interviews. Okay. So damn, that was a lot of content. I'm sorry I filled your ear and fire hosed you for this last hour, but hopefully you found it valuable. Remember, yeah, you need the article. Okay, I do need to share that. So let me put that. What I can do actually is I can create a new. I'm gonna share my screen real quick so you guys can see this. I'm gonna create a new, just so it's all in one place. I'm going to go to our public sheet, and I'm going to create a new sheet. It's not letting me do that. Let me refresh here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to create a new sheet here. Move it over here, and I'm going to put intro formula. And then plug that in here. There you got it. Cool. So there you are. There's your article intro formula. It's all there in that public worksheet. Again, let me share it with you guys so you got it. And hopefully that helps you out. So that's all in one place now. You have your questions you're going to ask your customers. You have your sheet to work out your planned blog posts, and then you have your intro formula. Okay. Now next week we'll get a little bit more into what to put in the meat of the post, what to put in the main section, and how to end your post. But step by step, that's how we do it. So thank you so much for your time. Remember, today we reviewed, just got more and more into how to be data driven with our Chum and with our hooks. Chum, we found a new place to find content, and that is to mine our friends' feeds. Go on there and see if they're sharing any content that's getting a big reaction, and then to repurpose that content into our own images. I made one myself. I'm going to share it, and then I'll share the results next week. And then on the hook side, we reviewed jobs to be done, how to interview, what questions we ask customers, how we plan our blog posts, and then finally, the formula for an intro for a data-driven, awesome hook that's gonna, drive leads and make your business money and make you do social media marketing the right way. All right. So there you go, guys. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks for joining me here in San Francisco at my home. And I always appreciate being with you guys. And please come next week again. We'll be doing it again next week on Wednesday at 11 a.m. And until then, have an awesome week and talk soon.